welcome to Tune of the Month and happy October! I'm Mari Black and I've got one heck of a Cape Breton strathspey for you this month. This is a tune called Evelyn's Favorite, and it's from one of Cape Breton's greatest composers of all time, Dan R. MacDonald. You may think of him as the Zeus of the Cape Breton Mount Olympus. That is how I think of him. I don't suppose he'd object. Here's the tune, Evelyn's Favorite. If you're just listening, thanks for stopping by, and if you're ready to play, let's dive right in. Okay, so as you can probably hear, dark and stormy, 'twas the key of G minor, and you can probably also hear that this is a very quick tune. It's single form, and it definitely wants to go into a bunch of other strathspeys, as is the want on Cape Breton Island. The medleys are, 10, 12, 16, 18 tunes, no problem. So this is a great little strathspey that you can either put at the front of a run that builds and builds and builds, or you can kind of put it in the middle if you've played something nice in G major before it and then you want to get a little moody. This is a great one to start the acceleration of strathspeys into a reel. So wonderful little tune. You can also just keep it by itself and do lots of things with it. But we need a tune first. So I'm going to play this through slowly, and I'm going to take all the ornamentation out for the moment. Don't worry, we're putting it right back in, because this month, as you could probably hear when I was playing through, is all about ornamentation. But here's the melody. A section, 2, 3, 2 pickups. Part 1. Part 2. Back to part 1. Ending. So short, right? Yeah, that's that single form talking. Instead of it being 8 bars repeated, this is only 4 bars repeated. We've done single tunes in past tunes of the month, or you may know them from the rest of your fiddling life. They're super fun. Okay, so you hear it follows our classic part 1, part 2, part 1 again, ending form, as do most fiddle tunes out there. And I took most of the ornamentation out. I left the 16th notes and the cuts in, because they're actually written into Dan R. MacDonald's manuscript, and even though they're technically ornaments, they're pretty structural, being in the bow. So we're going to go ahead and keep those in for the moment. Let's take a look at part 1. Starts with a little Scottish snap, T-tum. That's it, I guess 2 pickups. Okay, so super easy pattern. We're going to the G, the root of G minor, up the scale. Good, you shouldn't need that again, but if you did, you could always just rewind the video. Now I'm ready to go up-bow for the pickups to part 2, F major arpeggio. Yeah, so there are my pickups, they're my odds team. The top of a G minor arpeggio, F major. I'll do it without the pickups for a second. There are those 16th notes, right? Scottish snap, T-tum, tum-tee, T-tum, tum-tee. Now here are my 4 16th notes, a 4-note cut. You can say the word scrubby-dubby. Scrubby-dubby land. Now I say scrubby-dubby because when I play those 16th notes, I'm going to give a little bit of extra leaning onto my index finger, a little more contact, so they're very clean. And then of course I release it when I'm done. get down to that bottom F, I've unleaned my index finger. If I keep the amount of contact that I want for the 16th notes in, that bottom note's going to be very scratchy. No, thank you. Release. Do that part 2, the whole F major chord. One more time. Good. And we're back to part 1. Yep. And ending. Yeah, so I got those same 2 pickups. So it's another F major arpeggio. This is up high. And I land on a 3-note cut for the G. 1, 2, 3, up. So again, I'll do it without the pickups. 1, 2, 3, and. Do it with me. One more time. Lean, release. All right, that's the whole A section. Let's put it together. By the way, any of those parts you need again, of course, rewind the video. I'll play with these as many times as you like, so you get nice and comfy. Whole A section, starting with 2 pickups. Part 1. Part 2 pickups. F major. Scrubby-dubby, land. Back to part 1. Ending. Repeat. All right, now we've done lots of strathspeys in past Tune of the Month, so we've talked all about the rhythm, the Scottish snap rhythm, T-tum, a 16th and an 8th, T-tum, tum, T, T-tum, tum, T. So they're dotted rhythms. The T-tum is the short note first. If I flip it around, I get tum-T. That's the dotted 8th first and then the 16th. Now, in Scottish strathspeys, we can kind of rather freely flip around the T-tums and the tum-Ts, and it's considered part of the player's choice whether to T-tum or tum-T at any given time, and in fact, you'd switch it around. In Cape Breton, there's a little bit less of that. It's not against the laws, but especially with Dan R tunes, I find that the Cape Bretoners like to keep a more consistent T-tum and tum-T-ing. It's more built into how the tune goes rather than what you do as the fiddler. And that's actually good because if you're playing in a large group of people, if you have too many different versions of T-tums at the tum-Ts at the same time, it can sound a little muddy. So the thing I like to notice that in this A section, part 1, part 2, and part 1 again, all start with the Scottish snap. T-tum, tum, ti-dum, tum, T-tum, dum, ti-dum, T-tum, tum, then, and then the ending changes. Tum, T, cut. Check it out. T-tum, T-tum, T-tum. The opposite, tum, T, cut. T-tum, T-tum, T-tum. T-cut. Does that make sense? So it gives it a nice patterned cadence in the rhythm, which is really great, and that will make you a little more consistent with other people who are playing, you know, real true to the original Dan R. Okay, so that's the whole A section, at least for the moment, unornamented. We'll be back in a moment to put in even more ornaments to make it extra fiery. If you need a little more practice on the melody, you know what to do. Rewind. I hope that's the right direction on YouTube. I can't tell what it's going to be. Whichever way is rewind. That's your direction if you need. B section. I'm going to play the whole thing slowly. I'll leave structural ornaments in the 16th note, 4-note cuts, and 3-note cuts. But the rest I'll take out. See how much you can pick up. 1 pickup, 2, 3, and... right there. I'm going to do it again. It goes by so quickly. See how much you can pick up. 2, 3, and part 1. Part 2. Back to part 1. Little ending. Repeat part 1. Part 2. Ending, grand ending. There you go. So that may be ringing some bells about form of single tunes for you, tune of the monthers or experienced Scottish or Cape Breton strathspeyers. In a single tune, the section is 4 bars, and in the A section, you just repeat the same 4 bars. However, when you get to the B section, these smart composers know that if you just repeat the same 4 bars of the B section again, it's going to get a little repetitive because it's so short. So what they will do is have the first be part 1, part 2, part 1 ending, sometimes we call it little ending. And then on the repeat, we'll go part 1, part 2, and then instead of going back to part 1, we'll do what I call the grand ending. And it's this extra fireworks at the end of the tune that really propels it back round to the A and makes it very fun. All right, so let's do the beginning of the B section. Here's part 1. I've got 1 pickup. That's it. Yeah, it's just a G minor. G minor chord. Now, scrubby-dubby down the scale. Are you leaning on your index finger for those 16th notes? And releasing when you get to the bottom. Do it again. Tum-tee, scrubby-dubby, lamb. Good. Now part 2, I'm going to go 2 pickups. Try it again. 2 pickups. F major. I'll do it without the pickups for a second. F major. Scrubby-dubby land. Do it with the pickups. Part 2. F major. Good. Back to part 1. You got it. And the little ending. Two pickups. I'll do it without the pickups for a second. Without the pickups. And put those pickups back in. Good. So notice I'm asking you to really hear these patterns rather than my telling you exactly, oh, that's down the scale, that's an F chord, right? Particularly because this tune, it's pretty predictable. Part 1s are all G minor chords. Part 2s are F major chords, back to G minor. And then the ending will be F and land on G minor. That's because it's a modal tune. Modal minor, we've seen many of these in Tune of the Month. You've seen many of these in your fiddle career. You can use that information to start predicting what needs to happen. Let's put that all together. That's the first time through the B section. Part 1, G minor. Part 2, F major. Back to G minor and in. 1 pickup. 3. And... doesn't it? Try it again. 3 and... How's it feeling? Pretty good? One more. Part 2. Back to part 1. when we go to repeat the B section, we're going to play part 1 and part 2 just as we did. Do it. Part 1, part 2. Now grand ending, listen. Okay, so if the end of that grand ending sounds familiar, you're right. The end of that grand ending is the same as the ending from the A section. You got it. And what comes before is just a scale of triplets. It sounds super exciting because we haven't had that the whole rest of the tune, but it's not actually that difficult. I have one pickup. That's all new. It's a little scale of scales, right? Go down the scale triplet starting on your B flat, and now on an A, now on a G, keep going down, and A ending. Let's try that again. One pickup going into your B flat, and B flat, A, G, keep going down. A ending. Again. And notice on those triplets, I'm slightly lengthening the first note of each group. Show your listeners, your dancers, right where those downbeats are, and it gives it a nice drive. One more time, grand ending. Lengthening with me. You got it. Let's put together the whole B section. Part 1. Part 2. Back to part 1. Ending. Repeat. Part 1. Part 2. Get ready. Grand ending. There it is. Try one more time. 2 B's. Repetition, go ahead and rewind as many times as you like. All right, so now that we've got the basic tune, and actually even more than the basic tune, because we've already got the quarter note, the 16th notes, the 4-note cuts, and the 3-note cuts going in there. We just need to jazz it up a little more, a little extra spice, and that's going to come from the left-hand ornaments. Now, in a tune like this, we do not have a lot of time, right? Most of where there would be a quarter note or a longer value that normally would be where I would ornament, they're already 16th notes. They're already taken up. This tune is moving a lot. So what we need to use are ornaments that are built for high speed that we can throw in on the tums of the ti-tum group, tum, ti-ti-tum, because that's about the longest value we're going to get. We need high speed ornaments that can work very quickly and lightly and just give it this slightly lacy feel. All right, so let's practice them on this high G because we see a lot of that in the tune. Of course, if it's a Cape Breton tune, I'm going to have ready to go my Cape Breton wiggle or warble. So how I'm doing that, we've done on past tunes of the month, and if you play Cape Breton music, of course you have this in your arsenal. The wiggle is a 2-note grace from below. I start on my melody note, the G. I'm going to play 1 step down the scale and right back. But it's happening so quickly. I'm not even really lifting my second finger. I'm not thinking about lifting it. I'm thinking about slightly releasing the second finger and then snapping it back down to the fingerboard. The analogy I like to use is if you've ever played with magnets. You know how you can put two magnets so close together that you feel the magnetic field. You can feel them tugging on each other even though they're not touching. And then if you let go, it goes snap back together. That's what it's like. If my finger is one of the magnets and my fingerboard is the other, I pull them apart so slightly just so I can still feel the attraction, and then boom, that finger snaps back down. Try that with me. 4 wiggles on your second finger there. Yeah, sometimes it's called a warble. All right, so that's a great one. Right, you can hear them. It's great. So, the other thing I could use is the inverse of a wiggle. That's a tap. Also sometimes called a flap, or the Irish call it a flick. This is where I'm playing my melody note, in this case my second finger, and I'm going to tap the string with an available finger and come away. This is not a pitch. I don't want to hear wrong character for this tune, I'm afraid, and it's too slow. If you're used to playing left-hand pizzicato, it almost feels like I'm playing a left-hand pizzicato there, where my grace note finger strikes the string and comes away. Tap and away, tap and away. Try 4 taps. 4 wiggles. Yeah, pretty good. You can pause the video, practice some of each of those. I'm going to pretend that you did that. Maybe I don't have to pretend. Maybe you did do it. Well done. All right. Now, if you combine both of those guys, you get, if you start with the tap, you get a roll. Da, 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 note above, note below, note. Now, when I'm doing it in the Cape Breton style, quick here, we would call it a throne roll. Because you really don't hear the pitches, right? It just sounds like a double tap or something. It's so quick. Try that with me. 4 throne rolls. 4 wiggles. 4 taps. 4 throne rolls. It's a pretty great way to practice these. We were just practicing all the high-speed Cape Breton ornaments on the second finger. I call that ornament flashcards, that little game I use a lot in my practicing with all my private students. I recommend you could play the same game with your first finger as the melody and your third finger as the melody. In fact, you might want to pause the video and do that right now. Now, why did I just ask you to do that? Those of you who are unpausing, welcome back. Well done. It's because we're about to play the whole tune. And you are going to get to put in those high-speed ornaments wherever you have a moment in the tune, wherever you have a dotted quarter, a tum, or longer. Basically, anywhere you can get one of those in. And if you mix them around, some wiggles, some taps, some throne rolls, it will sound the most lacy and intricate and always change. Okay, are you ready? We'll go a little bit on the slow side here so your fingers have lots of time. And we may or may not pick the same ornaments in the same place. When you listen to just me without playing along, you will probably not be able to tell by the sound which of those 3 ornaments I'm playing, because if I play them right, they happen so quickly that you can't hear the individual notes. You just feel the difference. The wiggle sounds like what it says. It's like shaking a bowl of jello. The throne roll has kind of a wha-cha feel to it. And the tap feels like pixie dust, spring, spring. But again, you won't really be able to hear it. You just kind of smell that they're different. And that's okay, that's good. That means I've done a good job. If you can tell what I'm playing, it was too heavy on my part. All right, let's try it. Whole Evelyn's favorite. 1, 2, 3. Section. section might have felt like the most challenging because it was down in the lower register where we haven't necessarily practiced the ornaments together. Maybe you already did it yourself. Well done if you have. When you got to the B section, did you find why I chose for us to practice with that second finger G? Because basically every time you play second finger G in that B section, it's an ornamentable note. Did you try that? Let's try the B section again. Ornament every G you can. That too. Going back around to the A section, ornament everything you can. And there you have it. All right, so if you didn't get all the ornaments in on that first time around, don't worry about it. It takes some practice to get these comfortable in your fingers. I recommend practicing lots of that little game of flashcards. Pick one melody note and practice switching between wiggle, tap, and throw and roll. I like doing foursies, 4 of each, because then it gives you chances to do them in a row and get them really comfortable in your hand. And try that on every melody finger, so that way you know where those ornaments are in relation to every melody finger. Then take a tune you like. Could be Evelyn's favorite. Hopefully it could be some other tunes in your repertoire, because of course you can take these skills and put them in all your favorite tunes. Take one section, start out a little slowly, see how many wiggles, taps, or throw and rolls, all of the above, that you can get in on that tune. And as you get more comfortable, move the tempo a little bit, little bit, little bit. And you'll start to hear them have your tunes take on a whole nother dimension of intricacy and fiery show-offy fun. So I hope you found this fun and interesting and helpful. As always, if you'd like to see sheet music, my own handwritten chicken scratch for Evelyn's favorite, make sure that you're subscribed to my email newsletter. If you are already a member, you already have Evelyn's favorite in your inbox somewhere. If you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and go over to my website, www.mariblack.com, and sign up for the newsletter. That will make sure that all future tunes of the month come your way, should you find that useful. But hopefully you're playing by ear. Certainly it's a lot easier to do ornaments by ear. We don't write ornaments in because they would make the music look very cluttered. So there you have it. And play with these skills all you can, all your favorite tunes. I'll look forward to playing this and other tunes with you out on the road whenever I see you somewhere out there in person. And until then, have fun fiddling.